Hello everyone, this is Own Wall Street with thetradersperspective.com doing my Wednesday evening analysis, second part of my bi-weekly video updates. Before you have gold. I'm looking at the weekly time frame just to kind of get an idea of what's happening and where we are going. In my last video, I had kind of alluded to the point that I was expecting price to kind of continue to drop to about this 1179, 1180 level. Now, that is still a possibility, but I'm seeing a more bullish stance taking place here. So as I drop down in the lower time frames, I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at. But 1179, 1180 support will come into play if we should break lower than this 1205 level that we have actually taken a pause at and have found support at. So kind of snowball that in with the US dollar's overall weakness. So please do go watch my US dollar video so that you can go ahead and get an overall perspective of exactly what's happening in the marketplace and what's pushing gold. So we do have some support here, and we are still battling in this range here with this monthly downtrend line, and we have broken below this previous weekly uptrend line that we were riding here. We had a nice bounce here, we had a bounce here, and this is where the trend initially started. So as far as where we're going, I still see, like I said, a possibility that we could go lower, but I'm also seeing a bullish case here, and I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here. Dropping down to your daily time frame, there is a pattern here that some of you that trade using harmonics will actually recognize. It's actually I believe it's an inverted bat formation, or a bat formation right here. Let me just go ahead and draw that in for you so you can see it. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with harmonics, I do strongly suggest that you go and read about them, learn them, and they are very interesting patterns. They do occur frequently, and when you see them and you identify them, ahead of time, you can really set yourself up for a nice move. So this would be considered one of the bat's wings. Now I haven't actually taken the measurements of this. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. That's just how I do things. But the pattern is essentially as such. So you would expect that price would kind of rally from here, assuming that this area holds as support. This is the bat formation. So you have the left wing right here, and you have the head here, and then you have your right wing here. And the resistance level would be essentially classified as somewhere along this level here, so around like 1289, 1287. The high from the bottom is usually lower than these previous levels here. So if this is in fact a bat pattern, which it appears to be the way it's playing out, then we could see a very volatile move upwards. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be guaranteed, but I'm just saying that if we're looking as traders, we have to have the ability to have the foresight of what's happening in the future and acting today and taking action upon that before the rest of the market and traders and investment houses play that position, pattern, trend, whatever you want to call it. You want to be ahead of the market at all times. So you have to be thinking what the other people are doing and what could be happening in the marketplace as a whole. So the way gold is looking, and it looks like this bat pattern is going to be intact. Now, I want to go back to, actually it was on the weekly time frame where I had seen it. So let me go ahead and drop out here a little bit to the weekly time frame. And I want to show you somewhat of a similar pattern that had happened back here. So we had this up thrust, then we had this chop action happen, and then we had a substantial rally occur. So I'm kind of seeing that is a possibility here. I'm not going to, lie. Like, it is definitely a possibility. This is more of an extended, a very, played out, beautiful, flow of money here. Whereas before it was kind of very, very jagged, and you had these, big wicks and a lot of movement here. Now you're having a nice solid, not a lot of wicks as far as on the bottom or on the top of these candlesticks relative to this area. So obviously when gold was bouncing off these lows, this is going to be, a lot of profit taking and shorts coming into play, and a lot of chaos was happening. Here we have a more, I would say, a more organized money flow situation where you have shorts coming in, you have longs coming in, but it's like it's a very smooth price action. So That's the only way I can really put it. I mean, you don't have like I said, these shadows here indicating a lot of volatility and price. Here you just have an overall volatility, but within each day you see a nice smooth transition. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm looking at. Now, what is going to be the crux or the make or break for this pattern? So some of you have already probably seen this trend line here. So that's the 4-hour downtrend line that I have been repeatedly discussing. I mentioned in my last video that it was possible for gold to bounce off of this level, rally to about these 1220s, which in fact it has, dropping down to your 4-hour time frame. And zooming out a little bit, this is the trend line I'm talking about here. We had a few tests here. You know, we had the beginning up here, confirmation of the selling pressure here. Couldn't even make it here. We were resisted by this 200. And then here again, we had a continuance of this selling. So the main key here is if gold is going to make this move. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, my moving averages are already showing me a buy signal. So I'm expecting that price is going to continue to maintain these lows for now at least. And what's going to nullify this as far as the general pattern and the trend is going to be if we do break below this trend line here. So that's on an hourly time frame, excuse me, where I went ahead and just kind of looked at, what could be the possible low extremas of the price action here. So it looks like since we've broken above this 50-period simple moving average here, that price has been maintaining it. So we had a test already of it, and we could be in for another one overnight here, heading into Thursday, near this 1215 level. But you got to see what's happening here. So we are between this 200 and this 50-period simple moving average on the hourly time frame. So make sure that you're paying attention to these lower time frames to ensure that what I'm saying, number one, is what's playing out, and what I'm telling you to watch out for also is taken into consideration. So if I'm looking at these time frames and you're not looking at these time frames, you're going to see a little bit of a deviation as far as the perspectives go. Mine is going to be skewed more so towards looking at the micro price action or on the lower price action time frames versus what you may be looking at. So make sure that you do cross check what I'm looking at versus what you're seeing, and then place your trades accordingly. So watch your 50-period simple moving average here, and watch your 200 on the hourly time frame. That's going to give you the clue as to whether or not we maintain this. If we do break below this 50, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the end of the world. If we do get below here and end up at this 12 level, we should bounce, okay? And if we don't bounce and get back above this 50-period simple moving average, then I would say, more caution is needed, and, really do. I encourage all of you to always use your stop losses. Some of the more professional or seasoned traders, they can kind of get away with it here and there. Depends on their risk management style. Everybody needs to figure out exactly how, when, and how much you're willing to risk versus how much are you going to win or potentially lose if you're wrong. So don't risk more than you should be, and always manage your risk levels. Make sure the trade makes sense. So again, looking at this 4-hour time frame, that's going to be the level to kind of watch out for. So here you go. You can see it here. This is the support line I'm looking at. Here's my bullish crossover. Again, we are between my moving average now on this 4-hour time frame, which does act as support when price is above it, and then we have this 50-period simple moving average creeping down. So if we break to the upside, you're going to be dealing with a break above this 50, and then you have the challenge of getting above this downtrend line. If we break out of this trend line, the next levels to watch are going to be right around this 1235, 1236 level where this previous weekly uptrend line was. If we do break it, that opens the door to, obviously, number one, fill this gap here, and secondly, potentially run up back to this major monthly downtrend line that we previously broke above, and that we have since fallen back, to lower levels of support. Obviously, since we've hit our highs, we have come back down. So that's what you need to be paying attention to, is looking at your 4-hour time frame, see where we are in relation to this. Watch your hourly time frame as well, especially your hourly time frame, because that's going to give you the minutiae details of what the price action is going to be doing. So keep in mind of this trend line here. If this does end up holding, we may get a nice squeeze and a nice little pop up to about this 1236 level. There's going to be resistance there, and that's going to be the key on what gold does next. If jumping back to this daily time frame, if gold does in fact get back above this, now we do have a 200 period simple moving average on our daily time frame at around 1230. If we do get it back above this 1236 level, or at least bump it, that's going to be pretty good. And if we can hold going into the end of the week above this 200 period simple moving average on the daily time frame, that's going to be a very good stance for the bulls. Now, why is that going to be good? Let's jump to the weekly time frame. So on a weekly time frame, we are dealing with this 200 period simple moving average as well, and we've been here before. This should look familiar, okay? So we've been below. We had a trend line here to squeeze us up. Here we have very low, this is like the low support level before we do break and head to about like this 1179, 1175 area. But I do think that we could possibly push a little bit higher. If we can get up into this 1236 area, close this week out strong like we did back here, and this again, falls within this pattern here where we were below the 200, we broke above, we broke down, we went up higher again. So again, maybe this isn't going to be as hard as I'm thinking, but if we can get at least a very strong recovery this week, finishing out in Friday, to get back above this, back at or above this 1236 level, then we're going to basically do basically a bullish engulfing. So then we have a situation where we're like right here, where price would be trying to maintain this 200 and then pushing back up, running into this 50. So again, we're looking at a repeat situation looking ahead. So if we finish this week like this candlestick here, then we would have a nice strong bullish candle on the weekly time frame, and that gives more credence to this bat pattern playing out. So once this happens, you can then pretty much assume that if we get above this, we're going to be going higher. So at present prices, this seems to be a pretty good area to load if you really do, have the gonads to, go for it and have your, stop loss in. Then you're pretty much sitting pretty, minus whatever your risk is if you happen to be wrong. But in the grander scheme of things, okay, if we do break out and we do close this week higher at around this 1234, 1235, even 1236 level, as mentioned on these on the daily time frame, this is what you're going to be looking for. So a close at around this 1236 level would be very good, and I'd be happy with that for as far as this week is concerned. Then I would anticipate that next week we would probably try to hold support around this 1232 level, wherever this 200 is at. Okay, so about 1230. Then next week this should be the low, and then we would proceed higher. So that's what I'm seeing in the grand scheme of things. I know I've pretty much babbled a little bit here, but just to repeat myself, if this pattern is going to be the pattern that actually plays out bullish wise, then you'd be looking at some very nice moves in gold. And I'm not sure what else might be happening in the general markets at that time, but it does seem to be a lot of support here. We had, the bears were trying to come in and push us down, and every day we've been kind of grinding higher. What I would like to see is a close above this candle here tomorrow, somewhere up here near 1229, 1230. Then we know that we're going to be heading in the right direction. So that's what I'll be looking for heading into the end of the week. And I'm definitely looking more bullish here than I was obviously when I was cautiously bullish back in here before everything kind of melted down and the seller pressure kind of got aggressive. So this is the area that you want to watch. So in general, this pattern does look like it's going to hold up, and that's where we're kind of looking for higher gold prices heading into the end of the week here. It's just a matter of how strong we close, and again breaking this downtrend line here. So jumping back to this 4-hour time frame one more time, watch this downtrend line here and watch your support here. On your hourly time frame, again, watch for price to continue to maintain price action above this 50 period simple moving average. If we see a continued chop here between these two levels, then it's going to be a no-brainer breakout here, and then we're going to head on higher and then challenge this 1235, 1236 level. But that's going to be pretty much heading into Friday. Want to see this week close out strong. If gold and the bulls come together and we see higher prices, and like I said, if this weekly time frame holds up and we have a nice bullish engulfing like we did back here, okay, we're going to be back above the 200. We're going to be back in chaos land. But at least if you're in down here, you can drop in a stop loss while you're in profit, and just ride out the volatility. Worst case scenario, you get stopped out at a profit, and the pattern breaks down, and so on and so forth. So not here to really teach you all how to trade necessarily at this point. If you want to get taught, please do come by the website, ask any questions you like. I'll be more than happy to work with you, and then we can get a game plan on how to get you going and get you started in trading and investing, whatever it may be, gold, oil, natural gas. I don't do options, so if you're looking for options education, if you look at my website services, I don't get into that. So if you want options, please do go elsewhere. But if you're looking for an education on how to do price forecasting, doing investing, where do you start, what brokers to use, etc., from the minutia all the way to the more complex strategies, I'll be here to assist you. So again, in recap, watch for this ending week to have this bullish candlestick, which I do believe is going to come. It's just a matter of, can we get higher than 1229? I'd like to see a close at around 1236, highs near 1237. That would be the ideal way to close this week, and then we can go ahead and try to build on those gains next week, bumping over this trend line and then knocking at this 1245 level where this 50 period simple moving average is on the weekly time frame. Dropping back to the daily one last time, that's where you're gonna see prices. So 1247 or so on the daily time frame is your 50, and here's your 200 at 1230. So again, you can see the importance of getting back above this 200 and what that will mean for the overall pattern, as I have shown it here. I'm on Wall Street. I thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Shoot me some comments, shoot me an email, drop by the website. I have a contact us section on there. You can drop me a message on there. I'd be more than happy to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll see you all on Sunday. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the week.